All right, we're going to start learning how to play the drum set. You can play the drum set on the keyboard almost in the exact same way you'd play it on a real drum set. And so this is going to be useful for when you want to program your own drums. And it's also going to help you to understand the drum set in case you ever want to learn how to play the actual drum set with your hands. Okay? So we're going to start by first learning where the instruments are. And the two most important drums on a drum set or in a drum groove are the bass drum and the snare drum. So we're going to learn about those two in this lesson. So first thing we do is we take our left hand, and the bass drum is on the very first C. First key on the left side of your keyboard. So play that a few times. Good, that's the bass drum. Now if you're going to play that on a real drum set, you tap your right foot on the floor. Why don't you try that? Just tap, tap. I'm tapping my right foot. That's what a real drummer would do to play a bass drum. And basically, your foot would be hitting a pedal, and the pedal would be hitting the actual drum. So the bass drum is also called a kick drum. So let's play the bass drum or kick drum. And this is actually a pretty powerful groove, just playing quarter notes. Okay, we're using our middle finger. Okay, the fingering is really important, so you get in the right habit of using the right fingers for the right drums. Okay, so that's the bass drum. Play that with me a bunch of times. Or the kick drum. Good. Now, the next most important drum in any drum groove and also on the drum set is the snare drum. Snare drum is actually right next door. It's on D1, and you're going to not use the middle finger. You're going to use the index finger so that you can have one finger dedicated to each type of drum. Okay, so here's the snare drum. Notice it's got kind of a buzzy sound, and it's also got kind of a crack to it. Okay, so how a real snare drum works, you have a drum, and underneath it, you have some metal wires that are called the snares, and they kind of hug the bottom of the drum, and that's what gives it the rattle, and it raises the pitch, so it's got this nice bright sound. So the two complement each other. Really, you can play a lot of grooves with just bass drum and snare drum. So we're going to learn how to just play some really simple grooves together in this lesson, okay? So let's start with the bass drum. Just playing simple quarter notes. Nice. Now let's play some snare drums. And again, I'm using my index finger. Train your fingers to play the right keys. Back to the bass drum. Trying to keep a really steady groove. Back to snare. Just play along with me. Good. All right. One of the most important things on playing any kind of drums are keeping the steadiest groove you can possibly keep. Okay, so this is something you really want to focus on. Even if you're playing a slow groove or a fast groove, keeping it super steady is the key to having your drums sound good in the end. So it takes a lot of focus. Okay, so we're going to try this groove. This is sort of like a basic rock beat. We're going to go bass, snare, and just alternate. Try to, again, focus on that steady groove. Here we go. Ready, go. Bass, snare, bass, snare. Nice. Let's go a little slower. 1, 2, ready, same groove. Let's try to speed it up slowly. I'll slow down. Yeah, good. All right, let's play a couple other grooves that you can play with the bass drum and snare drum. These are also called patterns. So when you make your own grooves, you're going to basically develop your own patterns. And the backbone of any pattern is the bass drum and the snare drum. So how about this one? I'll play and then you play. So I'll play. Now you play. Try to echo me. bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. How about this one? All right, you can actually play both drums at the same time. That's the sound, okay? But in general, all of our grooves are going to start with the bass drum on beat 1, and then we're going to alternate to the snare for now. Okay, let's try a couple more. I'll play and then you play. Bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. Bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. Bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. Bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. Bass, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. All right, nice job. Head on over to the assignment.